So in the last class we have discussed about the non-viewable particulates, and in non-viewable particulates we have discussed about the smoke and dust. Now we will discuss about the next non-viewable particulate, which is mist. See, what is mist? Basically, mists are produced by particles of spray liquid. So, mists are produced by the particles of spray liquid and by condensation of vapors in air. So, basically mists are produced by the particles of spray liquids and by the condensation of vapors in air. See, the example of mist is basically sulfuric acid mist and herbicides and insecticides that miss their targets and travel through air and forms a mist. So basically mist is a type of non-viewable particulate, and mists are produced by particles of spray liquids and by the condensation of vapors in air. Example of mist is sulfuric acid mist and herbicide and insecticide, basically that miss their targets and travel through air and they form mist. Now we will discuss another non-viewable particulate, which is fume. See, so the next non-viewable particulate is fume. See, the formation of fume. Basically, fumes are generally obtained by the condensation of vapors. So fumes are generally obtained by the condensation of vapors during sublimation, distillation, boiling, and several other chemical reactions. So fumes are generally obtained by the condensation of vapors during sublimation, distillation, boiling, and several other chemical reactions. Generally organic solvent, metal and metallic oxide. Generally organic solvent, metal and metallic oxide form fume particles. So fume is basically a type of non-viewable particulate, and fume are generally obtained by the condensation of vapors during sublimation, distillation, boiling, and several other chemical reactions. See, generally organic solvent, metal and metallic oxides form fume particles. Now we will discuss the effects of non-viewable particulates. See, the effect of non-viewable particulates. Basically, the effect of particulate pollutants are largely dependent on the particle size. So remember this point. The effect of particulate pollutants are largely dependent on the particle size. See, we know dust, fume, mist. Dust, fume and mist are basically airborne particles. So airborne particles such as dust, fumes, mist, etc. are dangerous for the human health. And we know the effect of particulate pollutant are largely dependent on the particle size. See, basically if particulate pollutant bigger than the size of 5 microns, if particulate pollutant bigger than the size of 5 micron are likely to lose in nasal passage. So basically if the size of particulate pollutant is bigger than 5 micron, then this particular pollutant is likely to lose in nasal passage, whereas particles of size about 1 micron enter into lungs easily. So we have seen the effect of particulate pollutant, and we know the effect of particulate pollutant are largely dependent on the particle size. And we know dust, fume and mist are basically airborne particles and dangerous for human health. If the particulate pollutant size is bigger than 5 micron, then this particulate pollutant will lodge in nasal passages, whereas if the particle of size about 1 micron, then it will enter into lungs very easily. Now we will discuss about smoke, and this is very important topic. Basically, smoke, as we can see, it is combination of two words, smoke and fog. So smoke is basically the combination of smoke and fog. So we will study two types of smoke. One of them is London or classical smoke, and next type of, so one is London or classical smoke, and other is we call Los Angeles smoke. Also we call this smoke as photochemical smoke. So there are basically two types of smoke. Smoke is basically combination of smoke and fog. So one smoke we are going to study is London, or we can say classical smoke. Next we are going to study photochemical smoke, also called Los Angeles smoke. See, the first type of smoke we are going to study is classical smoke. See the points in the classical smokes. Basically, classical or London smoke. This type of smoke occurs in cold, humid climate. So we can say this type of smoke is formed in cold, cool or humid and climate. So cold or cool humid climate is required for the formation of classical or London smoke. So the first point is it occurs in cool humid climate. And the classical smoke or London smoke, it is basically a mixture. It is basically a mixture of smoke. It is basically a mixture of smoke, fog and sulfur dioxide. So the formation of classical or London smoke, basically it forms in cold humid climate, and it is a mixture of smoke plus fog and sulfur dioxide. And the mixture of smoke and fog and sulfur dioxide, basically chemically it is a reducing mixture. So chemically it is a reducing mixture. As chemically it is a reducing mixture, therefore we call it as reducing smoke. So which smoke is reducing smoke? Classical or London smoke we call reducing smoke. And we know this type of smoke is formed in cold humid climate, and this is basically a mixture of smoke, fog and sulfur dioxide. And chemically it is a reducing mixture. So it is also called as reducing smoke. Now the next type of smoke we are going to study is photochemical smoke, and we also say photochemical smoke as Los Angeles smoke. As we have seen, the condition for the formation of classical smoke was cold humid climate, but photochemical smoke it occurs in warm, dry and sunny climate. So for the formation of photochemical or Los Angeles smoke, we require warm, dry and sunny climate. So it occurs in warm, dry and sunny climate, while classical smoke form in cold humid climate. And we have seen the components of classical smoke was smoke plus fog and sulfur dioxide, while the main components of the photochemical smoke Basically, the name is clear, photo. It means there is use of sunlight. There is use of sunlight. So when the action of light, so this smoke is formed by the action of light. This smoke is formed by the action of light on unsaturated hydrocarbons, and nitrogen oxide. Basically, nitrogen oxide and unsaturated hydrocarbon are produced by automobiles and factories. So how photochemical or Los Angeles smoke is formed? Because we know this is photochemical, means a chemical reaction takes place. A chemical reaction takes place in presence of sunlight. So basically, this type of smoke, photochemical smoke, is formed by the action of sunlight. So action of sunlight on unsaturated hydrocarbon and nitrogen oxides produced by the automobile and factories. See, as we have seen the classical smoke, also called as London smoke. Classical smoke also called as London smoke. Basically, the classical smoke was reducing in nature. See, photochemical smoke has high concentration of oxidizing agents, because photochemical smoke has high concentrations of oxidizing agents. Therefore, we called photochemical smoke as oxidizing smoke. So we have seen the difference between the classical smoke and photochemical smoke. So the main components in the classical smoke was smoke plus fog and sulfur dioxide. And the formation of classical smoke in cold, humid climate, and classical smoke was reducing in nature. But photochemical smoke is formed by the action of sunlight on unsaturated hydrocarbon and nitrogen oxide produced by the automobile and factories. See, when photochemical smoke has high concentration of oxidizing agents, therefore we called photochemical smoke as oxidizing smoke. Now see, as we know, ozone is a toxic gas. So basically we know ozone is a toxic gas, and NO2 and O3 are strong oxidizing agents. So basically ozone is a toxic gas, and both NO2 and O3 are strong oxidizing agents. So these NO2 and O3 are oxidizing agents can react with unburnt hydrocarbon. So these unburnt hydrocarbon are basically present in the polluted air to form chemicals such as formaldehyde. Also form acrolein, CH2 double bond CH-CHO. This is the molecular formula and structure formula of acrolein, and it forms peroxyacetyl nitrate. As we can see that this is very important, and you have to remember the products also. Ozone is a toxic gas, and both NO2 and O3 are strong oxidizing agents in nature. Therefore these gases react with the unburnt hydrocarbon. So these gases react with the unburnt hydrocarbon which is present in the polluted air. So when these gases reacts with unburnt hydrocarbon in the polluted air, they form chemicals such as formaldehyde, acrolein, and peroxyacetyl nitrate. Now we will discuss the effects of photochemical smoke. So next we are going to study about the effects of photochemical smoke. See, what are the effects of photochemical smoke? As we know, both ozone and peroxyacetyl nitrate acts as a powerful eye irritant. So basically ozone and PEN cause irritation in the eyes. Therefore we call both ozone and peroxyacetyl nitrite acts as a powerful eye irritants. And also ozone and nitric acid. Ozone and nitric acid also cause irritation in the noise. So basically ozone and nitric acid irritate the nose and throat also. So basically both ozone and peroxyacetyl nitrite act as a powerful eye irritants, while ozone and nitric oxide irritate the nose and throat. And also their high concentration may cause headache. Their high concentration may cause headache or chest pain, also dryness of the throat, cough, so which results in the difficulty in breathing. So this is basically the first effect of photochemical smoke. So we have studied both ozone and peroxyacetyl nitrate acts as a powerful eye irritant, while ozone and nitric acid cause irritation in the nose and throat, and their high concentration causes headache, chest pain, dryness in throat, also cough. So due to this there is difficulty in breathing. Now see, basically the photochemical smoke we also called oxidizing in nature. See, photochemical smoke leads to the cracking of rubber. So basically photochemical smoke leads to the cracking of rubber, and also it cause extensive damage to the plant life. So basically photochemical smoke leads to cracking of rubber and also cause an extensive damage to the plant life, and also it causes corrosion. It also causes corrosion of metals, stones, building materials, rubber and the painted surfaces. So basically photochemical smoke leads to the cracking of rubber and also cause extensive damage to the plant life, and photochemical smoke also cause corrosion of metals, stones, building materials, rubber and the painted surfaces. Next we are going to study about the stratospheric pollution. See, so the next topic is stratospheric pollution. Basically in stratosphere, so we are going to study about the stratospheric pollution. Basically in the stratosphere there is formation and the breakdown of ozone. So basically in stratosphere there is formation and breakdown of ozone occurs. See, as we know the main region of ozone layer depletion. The main region of ozone layer depletion is believed to be the release of chlorofluorocarbon gases. So basically the main region of ozone layer depletion is believed to be the release of CFC gases, chlorofluorocarbon gases. See, so basically the depletion of ozone layer comes in the category of stratospheric pollution. So basically there is formation and breakdown of ozone occurs, and the main region of ozone layer depletion is believed to be the release of chlorofluorocarbon gases. See, basically chlorine reacts with ozone O3, it forms ClO with the evolution of oxygen gas. Now this ClO further reacts with O and forms Cl in presence of O2. So these reactions takes place. O3 changes into O2, then the nascent oxygen formed from the ozone, it again changes into O2. So these reaction takes place in the stratospheric region. Therefore, it comes under the category of stratospheric pollution. So basically, there is formation and breakdown of ozone. This formation and breakdown of ozone occurs. See, now we will discuss about the polar stratospheric clouds. See, what are polar stratospheric clouds? See, as we know, in summer seasons basically nitrogen dioxide, basically in the summer season nitrogen dioxide and methane gas react with chlorine atom. So basically in summer region we know nitrogen dioxide and methane gas react with chlorine atom and they form chlorine sinks So basically thereby they prevent much ozone depletion. So preventing much ozone depletion by the formation of chlorine sinks. So what is polar stratospheric clouds? Basically in the summer season nitrogen dioxide and methane reacts with chlorine atom and they form chlorine sinks, and these chlorine sinks are preventing the ozone depletion. See, basically in the winters, so basically in winter special type of clouds, in winter basically there is a special type of clouds which we call polar stratospheric clouds are formed. So in the winter session, in winter a special type of clouds which we call polar stratospheric clouds are formed over the Antarctica region. So basically what happens in the winter? In winter special types of clouds called polar stratospheric clouds are formed over Antarctica region, and these polar stratospheric clouds which are formed over Antarctica, these polar stratospheric clouds which are formed over Antarctica provide surface on which chlorine nitrate. So these polar stratospheric cloud provides its surface. So on the surface of polar stratospheric clouds, basically chlorine nitrate form gets hydrolyzed. Hydrolyze means reaction with water. So basically on these polar stratospheric clouds provides its surface for the reaction, and the reaction on the surface is chlorine nitrate form gets hydrolyzed means react with water and forms hypochlorous acid. Again it also reacts with HCl. Produced to give molecular chlorine. So this is basically the purpose of the polar stratospheric clouds. So we will see the reactions also in the polar stratospheric clouds. So basically as we seen, in summer season nitrogen dioxide and methane gas reacts with chlorine atom, form chlorine sinks, and these chlorine sinks helps in preventing much ozone depletion. And basically in the winter session, basically special type of clouds which we call polar stratospheric clouds are formed over Antarctica region, and these polar stratospheric clouds provides its surface on which chlorine nitrate form will get hydrolyzed to form hypochlorous acid. It also reacts with HCl and produce molecular chlorine. Now see the reactions. See, as we can see that this reaction takes place on the polar stratospheric clouds. As we can see, when chlorine atom reacts with NO2, it forms chlorine nitrate. Now, again, when chlorine atom reacts with methane gas, when chlorine atom reacts with methane gas, it forms free radical of CH3. It forms free radical of CH3 as one hydrogen of CH4 combines with the Cl. So it forms HCl and CH3 free radical. As we have seen, these polar stratospheric clouds provide surface on which chlorine nitrate get hydrolyzed. So now there is hydrolysis, as this compound is chlorine nitrate. So this compound chlorine nitrate will hydrolyze chlorine nitrate. So this compound is ClNO2 chlorine nitrate. So basically this chlorine nitrate on the surface of polar stratospheric cloud will hydrolyze, means react with water, and forms hypochlorous acid. So HOCl is basically hypochlorous acid. So this is basically hypochlorous acid. So now again, it also this chlorine nitrate also reacts with HCl. Chlorine nitrate also reacts with HCl and produce molecular Cl2 gas along with nitric acid as a byproduct. So these reactions are basically takes place on the surface of polar stratospheric clouds, and we know these special types of clouds which we call polar stratospheric clouds are formed over the Antarctica region, and also these polar stratospheric clouds provides its surface on which chlorine nitrate gets hydrolyzed to form hypochlorous acid, and also on the surface this chlorine nitrate reacts with HCl and liberate chlorine gas, molecular chlorine, along with concentrated HNO3, which is obtained as a byproduct. So we have seen the stratospheric pollution. What happens in the stratospheric pollution? As we have seen in the stratospheric pollution, basically there is formation and the breakdown of ozone occurs. So in stratospheric pollution, basically formation and breakdown of ozone, and we know the main reason for the ozone layer depletion is believed to be the release of chlorofluorocarbon gas. And also we have seen the reaction, chlorine atom reacts with ozone, it forms ClO and O2 gas. Again this ClO reacts with nascent oxygen, forms Cl with the liberation of O2 gas. Then we have seen about the polar stratospheric clouds, and we have seen how the prevention of ozone depletion, basically in the summer season nitrogen dioxide and methane. In the summer season, nitrogen dioxide and methane reacts with chlorine atom, therefore after reaction they form chlorine sinks, and these chlorine sinks prevent much ozone depletion. While in the winter season, we have seen in the winter season what happens, there is formation of a special type of clouds which we call polar stratospheric clouds, and these types of clouds are formed over Antarctica region. Basically these polar stratospheric clouds provide surface on which chlorine nitrate get hydrolyzed. So basically these polar stratospheric clouds provides a surface on which chlorine nitrate will hydrolyze and form hypochlorous acid. Also chlorine nitrate reacts with HCl and produce molecular chlorine gas, as we have seen in the reaction. So basically all these reactions takes place in the polar stratospheric clouds. Chlorine reacts with NO2, it forms chlorine nitrate, and chlorine atom reacts with methane, it releases HCl gas, and again chlorine nitrate on hydrolysis. Chlorine nitrate on hydrolysis gives hypochlorous acid, and these reaction takes place above the surface of polar stratospheric clouds, When chlorine nitrate again reacts with HCl, it forms molecular Cl2 gas along with HNO